All right, Joe. If you haven't seen Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, you shouldn't be here. We're going to spoil the hell out of it. That being said, we got our friends, Godzilla, Apex, and WilldBand. Joe, give me that countdown.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Get over here! Hi, I'm martial art master Daniel Pacino. You know me as the original Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, and Smoke. You are tuning in to NerdCage Live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Don't miss an episode or you'll get caged. So let's finish him.
This is Anthony Marquez, better known as Kung Lao for Mortal Kombat. Make sure to like and subscribe to NerdCage Live. Be there. Us.
Hey everybody, this is Dave Niebuhr from Dog Eat Dog, and you're watching NerdCage Live. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel. These are great guys doing what they love to do.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe.
Okay.
Shoot it!
All right.
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe.
It's all about you.
Kaboom!
Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run.
But she's so beautiful.
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running.
Run faster. Oh no, Joe. The galaxy's doomed because of you.
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCageLive.
Hi, I'm Leah Montalongo, the OG Sindel. Please like, subscribe to NerdCage Live.
This is Ernie C. from Body Count. You're tuned into NerdCage. Can you like and subscribe?
Hey guys, it's the original Shao Kahn, Brian Glenn, and I'd like you to subscribe to NerdCage Live.
It has begun.
If what you say is true, the Shaolin
And the NerdCage.
could be dangerous.
Greetings, citizens. You're now trapped in a NerdCage. We hope you have a smashing good time.
You're now about to witness the strength of Geek Knowledge. Hello, welcome. That's right. Once again, you are trapped in NerdCage Live. This channel is a celebration of all things pop culture. So please, if you're new, hit that like button and please subscribe and share with everybody you know. Help us more than you know. This is a spoiler show, so spoiler warning ahead. I'm your co-host, JSayG, certified geek, 7 days a week, coming to you live from yours truly, the land of the orange, the land of Tom Cruise, the land of Anthrax, the land of Earth Crisis, all Syracuse, New York. And always among us is our moderator and Trill Hammer, stronger than the DK Banana Hammer. You can't stop it, you can't crop it, you can't top it like a B-52 bomber. He's gonna drop it. Oppenheimer, born from the atomic seed in the titanium womb. He's the NerdCage Live Gaming Prophet. Joe FallenOne Gaming, please introduce our fantabulous young men that we have on our stream today.
Yes, today we have WilldBand, and we have Adam from Scry Productions and Godzilla Apex. How are you doing, fellas?
Doing good. It's a happy Easter to everybody here from NerdCage.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. If you're just joining us, I hope everyone had a great Easter dinner today, or if you're having Easter dinner right now, hope you're enjoying it. Thank you for making us a part of your Easter Sunday. So, again, thank you very much. Normally we do these spoilers on Monday, but Joe's got to go out and save the world tomorrow, so we figured Easter Sunday would be okay to do this. I'm sure Jesus Christ himself will not get mad. And I think the Easter Bunny, he can share, okay? He can share this day with us. All right, but Joe, before we go any further, who do we got in the chat?
In the chat tonight, we have Valerie Gothic, we have Tavia Smolka, and Doomzilla. And, of course, we're in chat.
Yes. Just cracking my nose. We all have different opinions, so let's all play nice. Like I said, I hope everybody's all seen this movie, so... All right, here's what we'll do. We're going to go around the circle real quick. I want, give these fine gentlemen their chance to plug in their projects, their shows, all that good stuff. And then I want everybody to give their general thoughts of the movie. Don't give a rating, but give your general thoughts of the movie. And then we're off to the races, guys. So let's start with our music producer himself. By the way, the music that you hear right now is composed and produced by yours truly, Adam. So Adam, go ahead. I'll start with you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy Easter to everybody. And so I've not been the biggest fan of the Monsterverse ever, but it's starting to grow on me a little bit, and I actually kind of like this one. I thought it was really. I think it was a step up, like what everybody wanted. Like, for example, a lot less humans, a lot more kaiju. You know what I mean? So and the battle sequences were actually really, really well done. A big step up from Godzilla vs. Kong. Adam Wingard is proving to, even though he's got his little style on making movies, he's proving to do right by Godzilla, in my opinion, as far as the Monsterverse is concerned. So I enjoyed this movie.
And go ahead and promote whatever you want to promote.
You can check out my YouTube channel, Godzilla Apex, where I have music, animations, and stuff like that. And you can support me over on Patreon. I'm trying to get some new animations out, although I'm having a rough time because I'm kind of going through some medical stuff right now. But hopefully in the near future, I will have some new animations out for everybody.
The match, the man from the land of the sand, WilldBand. Go ahead, dish out your thoughts, and of course promote whatever you want to promote, my friend.
All right, as everyone here in NerdCage knows, I'm a gigantic Godzilla fan, and I do like the Monsterverse personally. In terms of this movie, I think I liked Godzilla vs. Kong more, but I still enjoyed The New Empire. I have my problems with it, but I'm willing to see this movie again. I did not get to see it in IMAX. I saw it in Dolby opening night, so I want to go see this movie in IMAX since it was filmed for IMAX. And where you can find me, of course, WilldBand here on YouTube, and WilldBand plus maybe like a number or something wherever else on social media. Currently, I wrapped up my reactions to Netflix's Avatar live-action adaptation, so go check out that reaction series. Nice. I am back to my original reaction series of Batman the Animated Series, the Skull and Alien Animated Series on Netflix, as well as My Adventures with Superman, which I am almost done with that show. So look forward to those reactions every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. and we might have a special reaction series coming up on Friday soon here. And of course, we have the podcast, Petty Cash Podcast, on all your podcast platforms except Apple Music. Still working on that. And we are on a bit of a break in terms of releasing new episodes, but listen to what we got. We got 2 seasons worth of episodes, and we got a lot of great stuff there with me and my friends.
You know what, WilldBand, it's funny you say that. We are not on Apple Music either because it's too much of a pain to set up, and I've struggled to get it set up. So we're on basically every single podcast platform but Apple. But here's the thing. We're on Spotify and we're on Amazon, and those are the 2 biggest ones. So I totally understand the struggle. Joe, FallenOne Gaming, we went and saw the movie together, so go ahead, dish out your thoughts, and let's promote our past and upcoming shows.
Yes, we did go see it together. We went saw it in standard form because Jay refuses to pay for it. That being said, I think there were parts that were way over the top and silly and stuff, but that remains as like kind of a mainstay for the Monsterverse as of now. I told Jay it's kind of like if they're taking pointers from Disney and maybe Michael Bay type stuff. That's pretty much what you expect. So, I mean, that being said, though, anybody that knows me knows I like flash and over the top for most of what my tastes are. So it did well for me. Okay. All right, Joe, and if you haven't already, please check out our past live streams with Brick by Brick. Yes, Michael. With Mike Valenti of Brick by Brick with his amazing Chris Jericho story, which we have clipped. Yes, and we also this is available on all podcast platforms as well as Patman QC. Yes, happy little games. An amazing live stream available on all podcast platforms as well. We also made a really cool wrestling clip. And of course, last week we sat down with Eli Rex. Yes, of the New York Revival, which was an amazing live stream. Available on all podcast platforms. And, of course, just the other day, Joe. Yes, just the other day, we had the return of Doc Mack of Galloping Ghost Arcade. Available on all podcast platforms as well. And please mark your calendars for this coming Wednesday. Big show, Joe. Big show, Joe. Big show, Joe. Big show with Finn McKenty, the punk rock MBA. 500,000 subscribers. Let me repeat that. He's got 500,000 subscribers on his main channel, and then his side channel's got 170,000. He's by far the most accomplished content maker we've ever had on the channel. Cannot wait to mix it up with this guy. We're going to talk music, of course. We're going to talk movies and video games. We're mainly going to talk music, so please be there for that. Joe, we didn't quite finish God of War over the weekend, so tentatively Thursday. Yes, tentatively Thursday, late night, midnight edition. Yes. We're going to finally do the finale wrap-up of God of War 2. And then, of course, Joe, we're finally going to kick it with Sonic on Saturday. Yes, Sonic, 3, and Knuckles. And we'll get back into Gears of War on Twitch next week, not this week. I have Joe, Wednesday, April 10th. Yes, Heather Hardy will promote her new upcoming fight. Bare Knuckle. So that should be a lot of fun. Monday, April 22nd, Joe. Yes, Monday, April 22nd. Give me a little stinger there, Jay. I'm 1994. 1994, yes. Our retro gaming live stream. Is 1994 the best year in retro gaming? We're going to find out. We're going to discuss it. We got David L. Craddock and TabMuck99 joining us for that. And then mark your calendars for MK the 4th be with you. Yes, May 4th, we will be doing a watch party of Mortal Kombat Legacy Seasons 1 and 2. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, my thoughts. Listen. Oh, boy. If you are a parent or if you are a babysitter and your kids are going crazy and you need to shut them up and make them sit down, you turn this movie on because this movie's built for that. That's exactly what they made this movie for. I swear on my life. I felt like I was watching a movie. Like, we don't care about making a movie. Let's just throw a bunch of silly monster action and the kids will love it, you know. So that's how it felt to me. And that's putting it politely. It's just this was like Godzilla meets the Fast and the Furious.
So if you like the Fast and the Furious, and if that's your flavor of movies and Godzilla that you like, you're gonna love this. But the problem is, that's not my flavor. I'm more of a -1 kind of guy. I'm more of a Shin Godzilla kind of guy. I'm more of a Godzilla vs. Biollante kind of guy. Like, I just...
Fair.
There's only so much stupidity I can take. So, therefore, this is the worst Monsterverse movie ever, but that's not saying there weren't parts that I liked. That's not saying there weren't moments that I liked. There's not saying there were some good performances in there. As Joe mentioned in his rapid review, Kaylee Hoddle, who's, obviously, she's deaf in real life. And I got a few good laughs, too. We had our Jesus moments and some other stuff we're going to get into. That being said, please get yourself a NerdCage Live t-shirt. In fact, we got hoodies, we got pillows, we got all sorts of cool designs. We got this with also any size, any color, with the strength of deep knowledge, and of course, for you Kaiju fans, we got other designs too. Well, hold on, here's our PlayStation design. We got, oh my lord, we got a Rocky design. Don't tell the RZA, we got the Wu-Tang. I'm sure you people have seen, oh my god, hold on. Damn cool. I'm sure y'all have seen this logo somewhere in your lifetime. Maybe last night, maybe earlier today, maybe right after the show. And of course, especially for you Godzilla fans, we have these Monsterverse style shirts. MCU, and of course we got more. Check out our TeePublic link in the description. Joe, show them your mug.
All right, we also have the coffee mugs if this friggin' green screen holds.
Yeah. Oh, you had it. You had it. Whoa!
hold it in front of your face.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
That works. I'll cover my face for this one. This is the Resident Evil style stainless steel inside. It's great quality. Go
hey,
here.
Show me your N64 thing. Stand up for a second.
My what?
Stand up. Yeah. Yes.
There you are.
The Nintendo 64 design.
Yes.
All right. Let's get right into it here. So, oh boy, I'm looking at the chat here. I'm sure we're about 50-50 in the chat here, from what I can see. I can't really scroll through the whole thing. All right, so Joe, let's just get right into it. The movie starts with King Kong with a toothache.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I felt like that was not necessary. It didn't even serve any purpose except making King Kong a wuss. Now, don't come at me. I've had toothaches. I've had teeth pulled before, okay? I understand the agony. But here's the thing. King Kong is a primate. His pain threshold, I would imagine, is much steeper than a human. I just thought that was really an odd decision. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys got?
I mean, it didn't bother me. It's like, okay, well, the Godzilla vs. Kong opened up on Kong doing his morning routine and then try to break out of his confinement. This one, we do a similar morning routine thing, but instead of, taking a shower, going on a morning stroll, he has his breakfast and then chips a tooth on his breakfast. I mean, I didn't expect anything less going into this movie. Like, okay, silly opening in the last one, another silly opening with this one. Didn't bother me, but I also didn't love it, so I just took it for what it was.
I think they did it for two reasons. One, to give an excuse for Kong to come back to the surface world, and two, to showcase Doug one more time.
Someone explain why the internet loves Doug. He's just a random lizard.
Because he's like the cutest, ugliest thing to come out of the Monsterverse. That's why. He's like the mascot pet thing of like any anime that you've ever watched or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like,
all right.
That I don't know why everybody loves Doug. I mean I kind of like him kind of sort of, but yeah, no, he's
he has like 5 seconds. Sorry, he has like 5 seconds of screen time, and he has his own action figure. Like,
yeah. I mean, that was one of the first things that disappointed me when Doug showed up and was trying to take the food or whatever. Like, it was nice to see him, but I wish they would have like made him and Kong like have some sort of Kong pet relationship, you know?
Yeah.
Like that would have been cool. Give Doug just a little bit more screen time, but you know they didn't, and so okay, whatever. But I thought that the whole thing with the tooth problem, I thought it was a good way to get him to come to the surface for whatever reason, because him coming to the surface apparently stirred up Godzilla.
Okay, that's one thing I liked. I liked the fact that they established this is King Kong's territory, this is Godzilla's territory. You stay over there, I'll stay the fuck over here. You know, I liked that. Okay, again, there were stuff I liked, which is why I'm not giving it a 0. There were stuff that I liked. Okay, so that's I don't want anyone to think, oh, Jay's a fucking hater. No, I actually liked that establishment. I thought that made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with Adam that this was definitely a plot device to give an excuse for him to come up to the surface and everything. On top of that, I think there's a couple other reasons. I think they wanted to kind of humanize, for whatever reason, Kong, that, you know, he's not the...
Kong's always been the more sympathetic, more human/relatable kaiju. It's always been like that since 1933.
I think this was going to go further with giving him vulnerability. And on top of that, I think it was to show scale of how big King Kong actually is by putting fucking that massive thing around his tooth and everything to pull it out. You're basically seeing the size comparison compared to human beings, which they've done before, but this was just another way to do it. So I understand the meaning for doing it, but at the same time, it takes away from what you expect from Kong, because my expectation is if he gets a toothache, he just rips that fucker out.
Yeah, well, that's exactly how I feel too. Like, I just feel like they kind of wussified him a little bit, and like no, it's King Kong.
Let's not forget that they tied it into the movie later on in the film when Kong faces down Scar King and Scar King lifts up his lip and he sees the fake tooth. That like makes Scar King go, oh, so there's still humans up on the top. Okay, because, you know, they discussed that whole... I know I'm not trying to jump out of order, but like...
No, that's right. Adam, it's inevitable. We're going to jump back and forth. We try, but, you know, but no, you do have a point there.
But the tooth thing comes back into play later on, like way later on, but, yeah, so... I don't know, maybe they could have had a better... reason for him to come to the circuit. I mean, like, honestly, him just wanting to see Gia again because he was lonely would have been a better...
That's what I would have preferred. I would have preferred that King Kong scoured the Hollow Earth, could not find his family, could not find XYZ, and misses his old home. Like, that's what I would have preferred.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. That's what I would have preferred, but, you know, I mean, they went with the toothache thing. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, I think at this point, like, I think Warner Brothers is looking at movies like The Fast and the Furious, and like, they're like, okay, I think people just want over the top and silliness. Like, we're not gonna send a script doctor. We're just gonna go. We're just gonna go with this. Blah blah blah. So,
they're definitely taking cues from all the stupid superhero stuff going on. That's what this really felt like, was like monster superheroes.
And that's a good segue too, because it does kind of feel like they're trying to make Godzilla and Kong like their own superheroes of their own friggin' universes and everything. Especially with Godzilla, they're using him to fight off other kaijus and everything. And the only thing I thought it was missing, which I'm glad they didn't put in, was the freaking button from the cartoon to push to get him to just...
We gotta call Godzilla.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of Godzilla, I think... Okay, here's another aspect of this movie I liked. Okay, so we see Godzilla in Italy, and I don't like what happened. Before I get to that, I just want to say that I appreciate the fact that, kind of in the same vein of Final Wars and Destroy All Monsters, we get to see other cities around the world get destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool to finally see Cairo get destroyed. Sorry about the pyramids. It was cool to see South America get destroyed. Like, if we got to see other places in the world finally get their due, because they never got, like, Because, okay, I'm from Syracuse, so New York City's always getting destroyed. Like, come on. Like, it's just nice to see other cities get their due, finally. That being said, I hated the fact... Okay, this is another big problem I had with the movie. So Godzilla he beats Cthulhu, or whatever the hell that thing was, or whatever that thing it was.
Scylla.
Okay, and then Godzilla takes a cute little nap, like a little kitty in the fucking Coliseum, but the Coliseum's not destroyed, even though, don't mind, there's a huge giant lizard stepping inside of it.
He doesn't break it on the way in, but he breaks it on the way out. How does that work?
on top of that, like, the people of Italy just say, look, Godzilla's sleeping. But then when we go to France, it's like, stay away, Godzilla's radioactive, stay away. But in Italy, they're like, let's do graffiti, let's go hang out with Godzilla. Oh, like, come on, dude.
To be fair, like I think Eileen Andrews, she was taking calls from like certain governments saying like, hey, we have a problem, Godzilla's sleeping in the Coliseum. Hey, we have a problem, Godzilla's on his way to France. Like, it's not like people like were fine with Godzilla being there. I get what you're saying though, like.
But they showed graffiti, like.
So that graffiti. So someone posted a screenshot of the graffiti before it gets destroyed by Godzilla. There's a shit ton of Easter eggs right there. You see the Skeleturtle, you see the Atragon, you see Punch. There's like 5 total like graffiti Easter eggs around that Godzilla graffiti. It's incredible how much is put in that little spot.
I also think that the callback to Godzilla going to France is a callback to 1998, where Godzilla came from the French Polynesia Islands.
Okay.
So I think that's why he even like went to France and sucked up the radiation there.
Yeah,
or powered
I
up.
just felt like when he was in Italy, he didn't pose a threat, but he goes to France for the nuclear plant, and all of a sudden he's a threat again. But the main gripe is he conveniently takes a nap in the Coliseum and doesn't destroy it, but he destroys it on his way out.
I don't think he destroys it. He just like breaks like a small part of the wall or something.
Yeah, and this is a small nitpick, and I'd have to jump around and actually mention it, but he barely fit the first time he slept in there. Then he grows to an abnormal size because he supercharges, and he still fits in it later to sleep in it.
Well, because his design pre-evolution, he's like this, like the same stocky Godzilla we've had the last 3 movies. When he evolves, he actually slims down. Like, he's a lot skinnier once he slims down. Sure, his dorsal plates grew, but he slimmed down like around the waist, the arms, and the legs.
Yeah.
So he may have like barely fit before then.
He's evolving as quickly as he is, but he
Probably
didn't evolve.
Because when he fought Scylla, when he sucked up the radiation from the French like radioactive plant, and then when he fought Tiamat, he absorbed all that radiation. Whereas in like GVK, he absorbed some maybe, but like, and then with King of the Monsters, he like got a nuke blow up in his face, and that's why he grew. But with like he had 3 different instances in this movie where he absorbed a lot of radiation and took that time to let that radiation like change his body.
Yeah.
That's a little much. I know Bear was going to go, what about Shin Godzilla? That was a different monster, whereas this one was already established in previous movies before. That's just, again, it's just. But at the end of the day, I think the pink was pretty cool. I just think they're just going a little crazy with it. Every single movie that we've got in the Monsterverse Godzilla is massively different and evolved like.
Well, no, King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, he didn't change. He looked the exact same.
Yeah, but he definitely looked different between the
2014 The King of the Monsters. Yes, absolutely. They changed the design.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's just me.
I don't know why they're choosing to do that with Godzilla and keep like changing him in that way. Like, honestly, I don't understand why he needed to have the energy pink stuff. I don't know if that was just a callback to Shin Godzilla because maybe Adam Wingard really likes that movie or what. But like, I thought it was really unnecessary and very un-Godzilla-like, because never in the history of any other Godzilla movies has this ever really happened, unless it was forced on him. Like when Mothra fell on him in King of the Monsters and powered him up that way, okay, that's understandable. You know, same thing happened when Rodan did it back in 1993. And like there's various few times where Godzilla like absorbs another monster's power, but it doesn't do that to him, right? And so I don't understand why they like keep powering up or not just powering up, but like changing Godzilla. And then on top of all of that, this wasn't a Godzilla movie. Again, this was a Kong movie.
I will agree with that.
You can okay. For those who don't know, I'm sorry to interrupt you, WilldBand, but I think before this movie was written, the next Monsterverse movie that was initially planned was Son of Kong. So I think they adapted the Son of Kong and it developed into this because I think Toho gave them the green light for the rights. So like, okay, we got to throw Godzilla in there.
Well, I saw I had someone on Discord send me a message and it showed me a picture of the monster that was actually supposed to be in this film. Mothra wasn't supposed to be in it, but when they did the test screenings, people didn't particularly care for this monster, and it looked like a giant bird feather wing like rainbow chicken thing, and they didn't like that, so they decided to put Mothra in the movie, like kind of like last minute. And
it felt that's what it felt like. I felt like Mothra, just like in the previous movie, Mechagodzilla was shoved in there, and Mothra was shoved in there.
Yeah, Mothra was shoved in this movie kind of last minute because audience really liked the aspect of Mothra too. And to be honest, I'm glad they decided to go that route because I don't think Mothra got a lot of good screen time in King of the Monsters. And this one really got to show you like the fullness of the design of Mothra and how she flew around, and the fact that she showed a little bit more of her powers. Like she does spit, you know, like this weird radioactive silk like that made that wall. I thought that was really interesting and stuff. So like, and they added a little bit more to the lore of Mothra. It seems like Mothra is like the peacemaker between monsters, you know what I mean?
That's fine. I like that.
But yeah, that was a whole nother like this movie's pacing was so ridiculously fast.
This movie was quick, I will give you that. But funny you bring up Mothra's inclusion. There was an interview with Adam Wingard from The Wrap specifically about Mothra's inclusion, and I will read the excerpts right here. There was briefly another character called Phosphora that we had in place of Mothra, but Mothra was always what the character was written around, Wingard told The Wrap. And there's this false narrative online that this other character tested badly, and then we were like, let's get Mothra. The plan was always Mothra. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to get Mothra. And once we tested the movie, we had the previous version of that. And by then, things had cleared up. We were able to do Mothra.
Okay.
It would have been really dumb not to do Mothra because if you look at this other creature, it did and said everything the way Mothra does things. But it would have been another creature. It would have been very disappointing if ultimately we wouldn't have been able to land that. I don't like that some people think that this wasn't the plan all along. If you look at the very first draft of the script, it always says Mothra.
Okay, good. Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better about Adam Wingard and his decisions.
For me, like, you say what you will about Adam Wingard and his involvement as a director with these last two movies. To me, he's a fan. He understands the assignment. Yes, he has to, like, do certain things with studio standards with both Warner Brothers, Legendary, and Toho. But being a director being a fan of the stuff that he's making the movie of, I feel like that's already a plus for the fans going to see these movies. He understands, like, the monsters. He understands what the fans want to see. And I feel like he learned some things from Godzilla vs. Kong to this movie. So, again, that's part of the reason why I like this movie enough, because the director actually gives a shit about what he's making.
Yeah.
I'll say this, too, that it was established in Godzilla King of the Monsters during the credit scene that there was another Mothra out there.
Oh,
yeah.
And then when GVK came out, we never heard a thing about Mothra. So.
Right.
I'll also say this, like, thinking back on the Mothra stuff, like, the Iwi are starting to become, like, the Infant Island worshippers for Mothra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
But hey, no complaints. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, and I'll just say a couple things about Mothra and everything. It seems like with the context that they put in of Godzilla and Mothra being ancient allies and everything, it almost came off as like Mothra and Godzilla were like almost, this is going to sound pathetic, but almost sounds like they're girlfriend-boyfriend type shit. And it's almost like the...
Don't start that.
Don't start it. Don't kill it. It's funny because it makes me want to see a relationship between Godzilla and Mothra because I just want to see those kids. I want to see
all right.
Blizzard.
I don't like that approach. I liked it back in the early Showa days when Godzilla and Mothra hated each other. Godzilla versus Mothra, and like even Ghidorah the three-headed monster. Godzilla was so like he's like, fine, I'll help you, Mothra. But I don't want to, but I will. I don't like that the Monsterverse. I don't like the Monsterverse established. We're friends. I don't like that. I don't. I prefer.
I won't say they're friends, but they're allies. Like they will help each other. Maybe not begrudgingly, but they will help each other.
That's
like,
the thing. I prefer the begrudging or the rival. Like I prefer that monster dynamic over this.
Fair.
Just
another thing I will say on Mothra.
Yes.
Two movies ago, we got her introduced into the Monsterverse with Michael Dougherty as director for King of the Monsters. The compliments I gave King of the Monsters are now my criticisms for the new Empire. In King of the Monsters, we were given beautiful, modern renditions of several Toho themes, like integrating old sound effects with new sound effects for these movies. Absent for this movie. We have the Mothra Light theme composed by Tom Hulkenberg, Junkie XL, and we have his new Godzilla theme that he used in Godzilla vs. Kong. I know music licensing and rights with all of that with Toho, I understand that. But if you had an agreement 2 movies ago, who says you can't bring the new agreement back for when you bring the characters back?
Thank you.
Barry McCreary's Godzilla theme and Mothra themes were fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
I don't hate Junkie XL's versions of their themes. They're not bad, but you can tell they're like, oh, here's a Godzilla theme, but it's not a Godzilla theme. Use what you have. Use the music. Give Bear McCreary like a cut of what, because it's his music. Give Toho a cut because they're using like versions of their music. Just do that. If somehow Warner Brothers and Adam Wingard sees this like stuff, use the monsters' music. They kind of used like there was one moment I think when Godzilla was fighting Scylla that there was like an old roar that came through, but just do that. What they did in King of the Monsters was awesome. Mixing old and new.
Yeah.
Don't just do all new stuff. Give me a mixture of the old and new. That works.
Yeah, I think to this day, King of the Monsters still has the best music all across the entire Monsterverse.
Oh yeah.
God. And also, I'm sorry. I know I'm jumping around, but since you brought it up about the Iwi people who are becoming like infant islanders, okay. Your boy Jay is a sci-fi buff. Your boy Jay is also a die-hard Planet of the Apes fan. One of my favorite movies from that franchise is called Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
They clearly ripped off the Church of the Bomb people, where you have people who live under the surface of the earth that are telepathic. I'm like Joe, because Joe hasn't seen these movies, but I'm like, Joe, they're ripping off Planet of the Apes. They're underground people that speak telepathically. They stole that from Planet of the Apes.
And I pointed this out to Jay, that you're telling me that the people that lived underground, that Eevee tribe, knew about the people on Skull Island, but the people on Skull Island didn't know about them, and they're telepathic? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
especially
that was
it can give flashbacks to Gia, but not the rest of them.
Well, there was some other things to think about too, because every time something new would happen to kind of expand on the lore, Barry or whatever his name was, the guy from GVK, the black dude.
I think it's Bear McCreary.
No, the character.
Oh, Brian Tyree Henry.
Oh, right. Bernie.
I thought it was Barry. Bernie, every time Bernie every time something happened, Bernie would say some crazy off the wall stuff, like when they found the ruins, he was like, ancient aliens, looking into the camera, and then he was saying telepathy and stuff, and like he was right on some of it, and then not right on the other. But if that was a hint, if those were hints in the dialogue, dropping like the origins of where the Iwi come from, the origins of the whole Hollow Earth, and how all these different, because they were using gravity technology, right? Even though it looked very like old and stuff.
That's
like,
why I just couldn't do it.
I think for me, when it comes to like Bernie like saying all that stuff, I think part of it is like him taking his experience from the last movie's events and then speculating on what he doesn't know.
Well, the thing is when he was saying all that stuff, and I'm going to kind of go off into a quick small tangent.
Yeah.
When I was diving into conspiracy theory stuff about ancient aliens, the Anunnaki, all this kind of stuff, right? Like, that was kind of some of the stuff, like when they talk about how were the ancient pyramids built, like some of these, some ideas are stuff like weird off-world ancient astronaut technologies that help make these things. And that's where they're getting a lot of these, stuff to build Bernie's character as a conspiracy theorist. However, with what we've seen in the Monsterverse and how like crazy far off the rails they're going with things, I would not put it past them that the Iwis may be some remnant of some sort of because they established in King of the Monsters that Ghidorah was not like he was an alien. He wasn't supposed to be here, right? Yeah. So it's not too far-fetched to think that at some point they're gonna have, like maybe in the next movie or in a couple movies, if they keep going with this, that they'll have some sort of alien monster, maybe not a Toho one, but just a new one or something, being brought to Earth by some alien race that wants to conquer Earth. Because I mean that's a big trope in the Showa era, right?
Yeah.
So him saying all this stuff and hinting at different things, they've done this systematically throughout all of the Monsterverse movies and even the TV show, like hinting at things that are later coming to fruition, which I don't know if that's good writing, poor writing, or good storytelling or not, but whatever the case is, like him saying, I noticed that he was saying a lot of crazy off the wall stuff, but then a lot of crazy off the wall stuff was happening, like the whole gravity thing, that whole battle sequence with the monsters, which I was just like, are they trying to do the Matrix all over again? What is this? But like, but that there's something to be said there. Like there's something, like I don't think we should dismiss it completely. When he was talking about ancient aliens and telepathy and all this kind of stuff, like.
And I have a question that might be a little far-reaching, but it kind of builds on that. Do you think that this eventually leads to the monster versions, or the Monsterverse's version of an Invasion of Astro Monster type stuff?
Honestly, I would love that. Like, whether it be like they take a Toho monster as the main villain, or if they invent their own like alien/monster, like for that, I'm fine with that. For me, Invasion of Astro Monster.
At this point, like they've stranded so far from the Godzilla 2014 Skull Island. Just do it. Like they strayed so far away. Like King of the Monsters was kind of like that minor segue, and then the last movie was just like, yup, they're going wacky, and this was, and then this movie was just so far wacky. Like at this point, who cares? Just do it. Bring in the alien invaders. Bring in. It's time.
Give us aliens.
It's just like I said. It's like they stranded so far from how they started. Like, just do it. All right, Joe. Is it time to segue to the little baby?
For the Cult of Lanky. Yes.
Well, before we get to the Cult of Lanky, inside joke, guys. Okay. The baby. Was it Sudo?
Suko.
Suko.
Yeah.
Okay. I call him Diddy Kong because they never actually name him in the movie.
Sure, yeah, they never say his name.
So you got Diddy
Kong
in
it
the
happened, and someone called it a while back. Someone said, "Oh, I bet the Monsterverse are gonna start bringing the babies in." They did. Okay.
I mean, I'll try to stay humble, but I did. I called it.
I'll say this, because I knew the whole Son of Kong was a thing at one point, because they didn't know they were going to keep the rights. They kept Kong alive because they didn't know if they were able to keep Godzilla after GVK. So again, Son of Kong was in development. Okay. Honestly, I didn't hate the character, but this I can't fathom. Now, granted, I almost fell out of my seat laughing. I seriously almost fell out of my seat laughing when Kong grabbed him by the feet and started whacking him.
Amazing.
I was laughing so fucking hard.
That was amazing.
I laughed so fucking hard. All I kept thinking was South Park. Hey, Ike, time to kick the baby, Ike. Like,
him using his ragdoll beating the other end was amazing.
I don't think you guys realize if a 300-foot tall primate, you gotta understand the strength that monster has.
He would have been dead.
How the fuck was that baby still alive? That baby should have been crushed. He should have been
He
dead.
absolutely would have been dead.
So check this out. I agree, and I love that whole sequences because it was so much fun just to watch, even though it would like never really actually anyway. But if you notice something, Diddy Kong's height and everything is the same height Kong was in Skull Island.
Yeah.
So when you look at Diddy Kong compared to Kong and how big he got over the course of
70 years, give or take.
70 years? Like, it makes you wonder, because I don't know if you guys have watched the series on Apple TV, but apparently now, when you go into Hollow Earth, time works differently too.
Okay,
I'm a little bit into Monarch. I am liking it though. I need to finish it.
The best episode is the last episode because of the fight sequence, but yeah, there's this whole thing that they throw into the whole universe in the last couple episodes where time works differently in the Hollow Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you go into the Hollow Earth for like a day, it's been like 3 months on the surface world.
Yeah, because the thing is, when in the last movie and in this one, when you go into the Hollow Earth, you go into this vortex. Except that one time Godzilla completely blew a hole through the earth and whatever. But when people travel, there's a vortex. So
yeah, and so that explains that. Like the Monarch series actually gives credence to like how these monsters are so ancient, like from human standards, because they're constantly going into the Hollow Earth and coming out. All this time is passing for us, whereas for them, Godzilla's actually only probably like 50 years old, but to us, he's like 50,000 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but it also made me like understand, because the pacing in this movie happened so fast, right? Mm-hmm. The things that was happening with Godzilla on the surface compared to what was happening with Kong and how quickly those things were happening. I was like, oh, the time difference thing that they put in the series makes this make sense. So you have to kind of watch the series in order for that to make sense. But yeah, Diddy Kong, I thought his character was interesting, and one thing I don't think people caught, because I talked to a couple people over Discord about this, he's the son of Scar King.
Is he?
Yes.
Well,
and
I was trying to figure that out because his fur is like closer to orange than black.
He's the son of Scar King because, and this is like fact, like science fact. In gorilla society, there's an alpha, and the alpha's the only one that makes
same with Gorilla
the
Grodd.
females.
That's how Gorilla Grodd, in DC, Gorilla Grodd's the alpha.
Right. So Scar King is the alpha, and there's that one scene when the other gorillas had chased Kong and Diddy Kong to the Iwi place. And he looks up and he sees all this stuff, and then he comes running back to Scar King and tells him like, hey, I found portals. There's that whole sequence where like Scar King throws like a bone or food or something, and you see all these females holding redheaded little babies. Redheaded stepchilds, which also explains why he was so brutal towards Diddy Kong earlier, like whenever that one gorilla stepped in to like save Diddy from the wrath of Scar King, because he's got a whole bunch of other kids, you know? But also, I don't think Kong is the leader of this gorilla group, because at the very end, he's holding up Diddy Kong's arms next to Shimu as if he's the heir to the new empire. Kong isn't going to be King Kong. He's still just Kong.
Well, he doesn't want to be. He just wants to be left the fuck alone. I don't think he wants to be a leader. Even another thing too, one thing this movie kind of defeats the purpose, and they did mention it, but King Kong's always been the last of his kind. This movie basically ruins that.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they say, like, during that whole exposition part where they're in like the temple, didn't they say that this was a separate like species of apes versus what Kong was a part of?
Well, I think that's where. So there's the comic book that shows. I think it's like a 4-part comic book series that shows Kong and like the gorillas that he came from going to Skull Island and having their war with the Skullcrawlers.
Yeah.
I think so we know from the movie that Godzilla is very familiar with Scar King, because Scar King's the one that started the war with Godzilla. And Godzilla trapped them all. It's not far-fetched to think that maybe a sect of those gorillas left, which was Kong parents and stuff like that, and they ended up on Skull Island, and Godzilla never knew because of the storm that surrounded Skull Island.
Okay.
And I think that's how it's supposed to like all come together if you connect the dots.
Okay.
But the Godzilla had trapped all those gorillas and Scar King and
right.
like basically Scar King's followers in there. So it's going to be the new empire with the next movie is going to be interesting to see what happens with this group of gorillas, because they were. It never says that like they were being oppressed or anything. They chose to follow Scar King. They chose to be a part of his army.
Well, yeah, and he's the alpha.
Right. But they weren't like when Kong was like starting to shut him down in their initial fight.
Yeah, that's why he brought in whatever that ice Godzilla
Shimo.
Yeah. Shimo.
Yeah,
yeah, because Kong was clearly the alpha over him. Obviously, he's bigger.
But none of the other gorillas, like, the reason why I say they weren't oppressed is because the way they acted, they didn't try to help Kong. As a matter of fact, they were cheering on the Scar King.
Yeah.
So,
I still think the Monsterverse is implementing precedent here, because I think instead of making Kong a ruler or making Godzilla a ruler up on the surface or whatever, they're having Godzilla is the humans champion, and King Kong is the Hollow Earth champion. So the ruler, it would just stand to reason that the ruler would shift from Scar King there to his son, and King Kong would still be the champion. So that kind of makes sense.
Oh, okay. So I gotta say, Joe. So what made it very amusing, Scar King very amusing to us, is that he's clearly an orangutan. And what made it funny is, okay, so Joe and I go to twitch.tv/NerdCage Live if you want to game with us. We had a troll account. God bless this troll, and I hope he's watching, because we are on Twitch right now.
During our Donkey Kong 64.
So when we started playing Donkey Kong 64, we had a troll account called the Cult of Lanky show up to all of our fucking streams.
Oh my gosh.
And just talking about how great Lanky Kong is, and this, and that. It was one of our funny troll accounts. So as soon as this movie, like, they showed the Scar King, I'm like Joe, it's the Cult of Lanky. Because this guy's clearly Lanky Kong. And his cult is the bunch of apes that are following him. So we were laughing like, oh my god, the Cult of Lanky is real, Joe. He shows himself. Oh man. And okay, here's another problem I have with this movie. And it's the truth.
that final battle was very anticlimactic to me. And what bothers me to this day, and this is one thing that King of the Monsters got right, is Ghidorah to this day has been the biggest threat to Godzilla, the biggest threat to all the monsters, the biggest threat in the entire Monsterverse. And now he's gone. 2 movies in, he's gone. And now everything that follows just pales into comparison to King Ghidorah. So it's like, I can't feel like the intensity, like, the way that these, you know, Shimu and Scar King, they just pale in comparison to Ghidorah. And that's what makes this movie anticlimactic and so to me, you know?
I love you for saying that, Jay. Because Ghidorah is my fave bad guy of all time, and he is historically...
These movies are out of order.
The nemesis of Godzilla.
The only way I can see them like topping Ghidorah, honestly, is either one of 3 characters: Biollante, Space Godzilla, Destroya. And honestly, I hope
everybody's clamoring for Destroya
because they use the oxygen destroyer. It's out there, like in the Sea of Mexico. Like, who's to say we couldn't see Destroya in a movie or 2? Like, this is the conclusion of like Phase 1 of the Monsterverse, if Phase 1 hasn't already ended. Why not use like one of the most diabolical evil monsters in Godzilla's roster when you kind of already set him up?
Because first off, Destroya is not one of the ultimate bad guy, diabolical evil monsters ever. He was in 1 movie. He was killed by the military. Not even Godzilla. He was killed by the military. And his character is not some all-powerful... Yeah, he's got the power of oxygen destroyer or whatever, but like, he's not anywhere near the strength and power of something like Ghidorah or Space Godzilla or... Like, he's really not. And like, Biollante...
That's one thing, that's why I like King of the Monsters. Yes, King of the Monsters is my 2nd favorite Monsterverse movie. Is they established from the jump Ghidorah is the greatest threat to Godzilla, more powerful than Godzilla. Godzilla, even in the first fight, Godzilla couldn't take. I mean, yeah, Ghidorah flew away, but Godzilla couldn't go toe to toe with Ghidorah. They established that. Like this one, it's just like the Shimu and Scar King, bam, wham, bam, thank you, man. They took care of him like they were nothing. Like, and King Kong was about to beat him, and then he summoned Shimu. Like, it was. Yeah, it's just like this movie just lacks a threat, like a real threat. Ghidorah was that real threat. Wherever he went, there was a very dangerous hurricane storm. Wherever he went, he blew up his head regenerated. Like, damn, like now, like we've stepped down so far since then. Like, these movies are like.
I think I will agree with that. For me, the final battle, all the trailers like maybe showed a small like snippet of like the anti-gravity with like you see Zuko throw a rock at one of like the apes' faces. Like, you see that in the trailers. The only things you saw in the final battle with Kong, Godzilla, Shimo, and Scar King is like you see Godzilla and Kong running, and then I think in the Chinese trailer you see them all like jumping at each other. I personally would have liked to have seen regular gravity fight, like they're going toe to toe, like all 4 monsters are fighting each other.
A classic tag team Godzilla versus Megalon style.
Then they activate the anti-gravity. It's like a short little like part of the final fight. Sure, they get sucked back up into the surface world. Sure, we'll finish the battle in Brazil. That's cool. I wish it was more of a classic Godzilla monster fight where it lasts like maybe the whole fight will maybe last like 5 to 10 minutes. You see like good shots in from both sides, but then ultimately Godzilla and Kong wins. For me, I didn't time this. I'm gonna see this again. I want to say between when Godzilla and Kong arrive back in Hollow Earth to when Scar King gets pummeled by Kong, I think the entire fight lasts 10 minutes, give or take like 2 to 3 minutes. And the anti-gravity segment, while it's like kind of cool seeing like Godzilla like crocodile swim towards Shimo, that was a cool visual. Yeah. I wish the final fight, like with Godzilla versus Kong, like with Godzilla King of the Monsters, I wish it was just more.
Yeah, the thing was there was so much there's so much monsters in this movie throughout that the final battle felt like it was nothing. If they gave us less monsters, perhaps, maybe this final battle would have felt more intense. But since this whole movie was nothing but monster action per se, it just seemed like a very lackluster finale. You know.
Fair. I will say the fight with Scylla in Rome, cool. Me personally, I like that they brought Tiamat into the Monsterverse movies. Like, as someone who kind of follows the comic books, like, oh, Tiamat, you're from the comics. Cool that they brought you into live action.
It reminded me of Manda.
No, I said this in the theater to my fiance. This is the Monsterverse Manda. I don't care what they call it. This is the Monsterverse Manda. But like, cool, they brought Tiamat into the movies. Awesome. I still wish, like, I'm fine those quick fights happened in the movie. I just wish the final fight had more meat behind the bones.
Yeah, no, I agree. And by the way, we have 18 people in here. Please hit that like button, people. No excuses. Pay the rent. It doesn't cost you anything. Okay, we got
here.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I have to jump backwards again. But I have to say it. I have to say it. As cool as it was to see Cairo and the pyramids get destroyed, I had my issues with that Godzilla King Kong fight. And I'm gonna say it. How does Godzilla suplex?
I was gonna say
Godzilla has dorsal fins and a tail. It is physically impossible for him to do a successful backwards suplex.
I had the same thought. But then, like, I think back to every single time in the old movies, you see Godzilla rolling down a hill. You see him falling on his back. Nothing happens to the dorsal plates. I'm like, okay, well,
But dorsal plates and a tail, how does he does a perfect suplex? It should have been the other way around. Kong should have did the suplex. That would have made more sense. And
for me, that fight didn't bother me.
I was bothered by it, but like, I'm like, wait a minute, how does a lizard like that do a suplex? Like, come on. Also, and another thing, and I said this to Joe as well, again, this is what I would have preferred. I didn't like that Mothra came in and stopped it. I understand why they had him, but I would have preferred if the scene where Kong was dragging Godzilla by his tail, I just wish King Kong successfully just dragged him by the tail into the Hollow Earth and be like, look, help me fight this guy. Instead of like, Mothra to the rescue. All right, you two are going to behave now. Go fight.
Yeah, see, to me that didn't bother me just because, like, we have the establishment of the Godzilla and Mothra symbiotic relationship. So he trusts Mothra, so he'll listen to her, and she'll be like the communicator between Godzilla and Kong, and the message will get through. For me, that didn't bother me. I will say, going into this movie, I think a month or two back, there were leaked screenshots for the movie surfacing online. I saw that Mothra was going to be in the movie. I wish I didn't see it because I feel like for me it would have hit so much more. Once, like, when they said, like,
Joe Blow was sharing the videos of Mothra and stuff, and I'm like, well,
I didn't see videos. It was just screenshots. But like, if I didn't see those, and when they said Mothra, and when she showed up, like, oh, Mothra's back. But just like me, it's like, oh, cool, she's here. I wish I didn't see that sub because I feel like that would have been more impactful. But I chose to look at him. Say Levy.
Yeah.
And if we're jumping back to Final Battle for a second, Tavia has a bunch of questions here for you.
Yeah.
One I think was Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla related from Versus Kong. Is like,
didn't Ghidorah return as Mechagodzilla?
Yeah.
That okay. Between
That's complicated.
between the novelization of Godzilla vs. Kong and what is the final cut of the movie with Godzilla vs. Kong, I'm just going off the novelization because movie novelizations usually go off the original script versus what was revised and whatnot. So going off the post-credits of King of the Monsters, Jonah Allen buys the Ghidorah skull that was left in Mexico. Apparently, Apex Cybernetics buys this Ghidorah skull off of Jonah Allen. And I believe between the Ghidorah skull that Ren Serizawa was sitting in versus the Ghidorah skull that Mechagodzilla was built around, I don't know where that second head would have come from because Godzilla obliterated Ghidorah in the end of King of the Monsters. So somehow Apex found the second skull. And they used the skull that Ren Serizawa was in with the
They used the brain
skull.
of King Ghidorah to power Mechagodzilla.
Wait, so in the book, there's 2 Ghidorah skulls?
I didn't read it. I just read excerpts from, but from what I can understand, there is a Ghidorah skull or something of Ghidorah's DNA inside of Mechagodzilla, and then there is the actual skull that Ren Serizawa sits in to quote unquote pilot Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, that like because in the movie there wasn't 2. That's why I go by what the movie shows. But like, so the way the movie was showing it was you got the skull. There's actually no as far as I know there was actually no biological components to the Mechagodzilla in the movie, and the skull that Rin was sitting in to pilot Mechagodzilla, they used its power, and it doesn't even explain why they were using it, but I guess it had like residual space power or whatever.
I guess because it's an alien, whatever.
I don't know.
See, I thought what it was they used the brain, King Ghidorah's brain powered Mechagodzilla, which is why the thing went haywire and started to try to kill Godzilla.
Yeah.
All right. What were the other questions, Joe?
The other one, I can wrap all these questions pretty much together. He basically goes on to ask what final fight you would have preferred, like Rodan or Space Godzilla, or God forbid, Jay, Gamera.
Keep Gamera as far away from this as possible, please.
For me, I think what would have made the final battle more satisfying is if they're in the Hollow Earth crystal area, like they're all fighting it out for a few minutes. Then the anti-gravity goes up, and then they're in the air, like trying to get at each other. Then they get sucked through the Hollow Earth portal. They go up into Brazil. For me, I think it would have been better if once they take care of Scar King, they turn on Shimo, and it takes Godzilla and Kong, maybe mostly Godzilla in that aspect of the fight, and they just obliterate Shimo. I don't hate that Shimo lived, but I think it would have been better if Shimo was killed in the final battle, personally.
I probably would have preferred Kong beating Kong beating Scar King on his own, Godzilla killing Shimo on his own. I just would have preferred that, like.
Yeah, I would have taken that.
Don't get me wrong, the whole Mortal Kombat 3 Sub-Zero fatality where he's frozen and gets smashed.
Yeah. Wow.
Classic Mortal Kombat right there from Mortal Kombat 3, by the way, shout out to John Turk. That was cool. No, I just would have preferred, like, bring the fight to the surface, do classic tag team battle, but I just felt like Scar King is like the rival to Kong and Shimo was like the rival to Godzilla. I would have preferred each perspective monster took care of their own business. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I just the whole anti-gravity thing was too much. That's where I was like,
it was a little over the top. It was a little
I couldn't do
over
it,
the
guys.
top.
It was like this is just.
Yeah, Shimo. Yeah, so like. Oh, sorry. Oh.
Shimo was being controlled by Scar King. Yes, but I just would have preferred if they still would have killed each other. That's just me.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think. I think the bad guys in this movie were, like you said before, Jay, just super underwhelming. I don't even know why they even had to
King
do
Ghidorah felt like a threat. So when it took Godzilla and Mothra juiced up to take him down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not even that. It's like the way they established the history in this movie. Godzilla already fought Scar King, so there's and won, buried them. He even chose not to kill them, like showing some sort of mercy, unlike what he did to poor Scylla. But Godzilla had already won. And then on top of all of that, I have to agree with Doomzilla. Godzilla overgrinded for nothing. Like, he juiced up for no reason at all.
I feel like he could have taken them in his form that he had since King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
Do I hate the new design? No, I think it's cool.
I think the whole point was Godzilla got juiced up to stop the Ice Age. He breathed fire into the sky to stop the Ice Age.
Yeah, and that was cool, but like me, I don't hate the new design. It looks really cool.
No, I don't hate it either.
But I get where you're coming from, Jay. Like, he didn't need to juice up, but I didn't hate that he did.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my nitpick in this with the characters juicing up and everything. The King Kong Iron Man hand.
the beast glove.
First
of all, if you're going to armor him up, why not bring all the armor? It was a little convenient to have just the armor for that particular affected hand.
That was, yeah.
And second, it took a lot from Marvel. Seeing it put on, it reminded me of an Iron Man attachment. Just did.
Fair.
So,
and the way they bring it up, it's so quick. It's just like, oh, you remember that project?
That project that we did a while back.
Yeah.
Well, we still have the prototype. Like, let's give it to him now, so he can. I mean, again, we're so far gone at this point.
And it's funny because it had an injection to get rid of the frostbite. It's like, why not just use that? His arm is fine. Just use the injection.
I don't think it was going to instantly, those injections, I don't think they instantly healed him. I think it just, like, it started to heal him. Yeah.
I don't know. It was a little over the top for me. I was like, okay, they're taking cues from Disney.
And plus, like, this, I was made for loving you. Played
Okay,
over,
I'm
like,
sorry.
the whole sequence.
I know Joe gets me there. I
liked all
hated
the
the
80s
soundtrack.
music, but that's just me.
For me, I will say this about Adam Woodgard with these two movies. I don't mind the soundtrack he uses when he's, like, putting in music. Like, for me,
I
especially
have to get
especially
score. It's the soundtrack I'm talking about. The choices,
Right.
You know, hearing Kiss and listen.
Golden
I'm
Earring.
sorry.
For me-
all these music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, I've heard a million times over the course of my life. I don't feel like listening to them again. Like
For me, it didn't bother me because of how they were used. And what I mean by that is a lot of the soundtrack used in this movie was diegetic. Like, yeah, it played, but it was also playing for the characters, like, in the scene. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
I'm just going to throw this out there onto the internet again. Warner Brothers, Adam Wingard, whoever's making these next Monsterverse movies, feel free to hire me to do your soundtrack. I will do it justice. I will do it right. The fans will love it. They already love my Godzilla music that I've already made.
By the way,
so
Adam, I don't know if you watched our
saying.
rapid review today. I don't know if you listened to the music I use. I use your Godzilla versus King Kong versus Godzilla 62 cover as our rapid review soundtrack.
No, I didn't check it out, but I'll go check it out after we get done with the live stream.
Yeah. I love that rendition that you did. So I was like, I'm using this again.
And that's,
here's
that's
the
another
thing,
thing too. Like Doomzilla, like this is another reason why I don't particularly care for Junkie XL's.
Yeah, I saw this come out, but
He
yeah, go ahead.
literally said he does not like the Ifukube themes. Like they don't resonate with audience, and I'm like, who are you? Like, who do you even know anything about Godzilla? Like, are you kidding me? These things are iconic. Dun, like that little piece whenever Godzilla shows up, like that makes the scene. That is Godzilla's music. And
yes,
another thing is like look at -1.
Yeah. They even used it in -1. Like they didn't go. The whole soundtrack wasn't Ifukube, but they used that part and they used the classic Godzilla march, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah, they did. From King Kong and versus Mothra. Both of them.
Yeah, look, Junkie XL, I like your stuff in the Snyderverse. I like your stuff for the Sonic movies. Get Bear McCreary back for the next Godzilla movie.
I want Bear McCreary
Get him back.
Bear McCreary's good at everything he does.
Yes.
Well, I'm just saying,
I love his God of War soundtrack.
You can hire me instead of Bear McCreary, and I will do it for a fraction of the price, which I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers will love. I'm just saying. No. I'm just... Anyway, but yeah, no. The
you guys got anything else? Anything else that we,
The only thing we really haven't touched upon is Kaylee Hoddle's stuff with her flashbacks and everything like that. I think that was the most grounded part. Was her story was more grounded than the rest of the movie. Which
she did a fantastic job in this movie.
A little more substance.
Yeah.
So enjoyed that.
I will say that
she's actually deaf in real life, so it's just you know.
I think my biggest thing about this movie that I enjoyed the most was the fact that they gave the fans what we've been asking for a long time. less humans, more monsters. And that's exactly what we got. No stupid, crappy edits, cutaways in the midst of a really cool battle sequence.
Yeah.
Like, even at the end, like, from the moment the monsters, and from the moment Godzilla and Kong show up in the Hollow Earth to face down Scar King, from that moment till the very end, there was, like, no cuts to the main human characters really at all, except for those, like, that sequence where Mothra saves them, which I thought was really cool. But, like, there was no really bad edits where the Argo is, like, coming up into view.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
to block the view between Godzilla and Ghidorah fighting. Like, it was just straight, just like the Showa era, monster on monster action. And through the whole movie, you know, Kong's interactions with Diddy Kong, Godzilla doing his thing. Like, it was just so much less human.
Yeah, basically the human characters were the scaffolding that held the monster fights in place for this movie.
Instead of the monsters being the plot device to move things forward, it was the humans which were like, oh, we got to go here and we got to do this, which you know, transitioned to the next part, and we got to see so much more character building of the monsters, and especially obviously of the gorillas and Kong and all that. But
and I will say this:
so
I think past Monsterverse movies had budgets upwards of $150 million. This movie, from what I can tell, had a budget of 135, which this movie looked good for 135 million.
Yeah,
I thought the special effects didn't look as good as in the previous movie, but I mean, it was still a good job, but I didn't think it looked as good. I mean,
for me, I'll always be. For me, I will admit the King of the Monsters visual effects were like hit and miss. Like, some scenes look better than others, but I will forever appreciate that they use motion capture actors for all the monsters except Mothra. Can you bring that back, please? Yeah.
I didn't, honestly, I didn't like the motion cap stuff that was going on in King of the Monsters and whatever happened in Godzilla vs. Kong.
For Godzilla vs. Kong, I think
there was no motion capture.
There wasn't any? Yeah,
I think there was, but they mainly just, like, I think they used, like, some of the VFX team as reference, not, like, hired actors as reference.
But, like, I really enjoyed that because there was a lot more, because I know some of the guys at the studio that did the special effects animation for the show, and it really got to showcase their animation skill versus just having somebody do the motion capture. Like, because as an animator myself, like, doing all the little facial expressions and the little movements, like every time Kong was looking around and you could see his eyes pointing in different directions, or like when the monsters were walking and it was showing their claws going from like a closed position to an open as it landed on the ground, all that kind of stuff, like those little details, that's like what a true animator has to pay attention to, because then you don't even realize that they're there. Like it's so natural, like they're putting in all these natural movements that you don't even notice it. And like, I will say some of Scar King's poses, like when you first see him and he's staring down Kong and he's got that look, like, and he's like standing there all skinny and stuff and just looking at Kong like, who is you? You know, like those there were some like comic book sequences, you know, that were in there, but like for the most part, the animations, in my opinion, were really good, really well put together, really well animated, and there was a lot of attention to detail to that. And so for that, I praise the special effects team that did the animation and stuff like that. Now, as far as like the lighting and making stuff look photorealistic, at this point in the Monsterverse, I don't need them to try to do what they tried to do with 2014 in Skull Island, you know?
Fair.
That's just it. I think Skull Island still looks the best to this day.
Yeah,
I think I'll agree with that.
It does.
And so that was almost a decade ago now. So it's just like, you know. But I think at this point, you know, they probably don't have the amount of money that they did.
But now that this movie's making money, the next one they should have more money to put into the special effects. But still, remember, Godzilla Minus One, only $15 million budget.
I think it was less than that, actually.
Yeah. And back to Gia for a second. Call me a wuss if you want, but that scene at the end when she's reached this like savior-esque type status, and then her mother there,
bro,
says you're welcome to stay here, and she goes, "No, you're my home." Yeah. I shed tears on that.
I've
Joe
watched
got
it
the
twice,
feels.
and that hit me in the feels too. Like, I'm not gonna lie, little tear came to my eye when that's probably that was so much more emotional than the plot situation with Millie Bobby Brown and King of the Monsters and her dad and all that kind of stuff. Like, the relationship between Gia and the Doctor is so much more, even though it's not even expanded upon as much, it's so much more
impactful.
Yeah. And I would just like to point out, when you were talking about Godzilla being in like Italy and all that kind of stuff, and the humans, I thought it was interesting because they were trying to say like the great apes were the protectors of the humans and Godzilla was like the protector of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Gia is literally at the top of that pyramid, staring Godzilla down, having some sort of psychic communication with Godzilla, and you even see, for a brief moment, Godzilla have some sort of like facial reaction to it. He's like, he looks down at her, he looks back up at Mothra, looks down at her, and he's like, fine, let's go. You know, like, Godzilla has a relationship with humans, and it's even been established in the comic books. Humans used to worship him as Dagon and stuff like that, and so, like, I don't know.
And we got a little bit of that, again, a little bit of that in King of the Monsters.
Yeah, the Atlantis.
Yeah. The whole Atlantis sequence, and then in this one, like, the Iwi know of Godzilla, and they were. It wasn't just the Iwi that was calling out; it was Mothra calling out for help, and they were calling for Godzilla, not Kong. So, like, it's funny because this was a King Kong movie, and he wasn't even the one that they wanted to come and save them. That's the best part. So.
Tadia asks, how did the Iwi people survive in Hollow Earth because it confused him?
Yeah.
Well, see, we don't know that one yet. They haven't expanded upon
also,
that.
Also, like, what the hell is the light source in Hollow Earth?
Yeah.
It's like broad daylight down there. But
they hinted at that when they said Godzilla was the monster that swallowed a star, which I really kind of like that title for him. Like, he swallowed a star. But what they did with this movie was they brought a little bit more history, a little bit more lore into it, but left so many more questions so that way they can write more movies and make more money. So that we don't really actually have the question of how did the Iwi start on the surface and end up in the Hollow Earth? Were they always in the Hollow Earth? We don't know, you know? Because, like, it would make sense, especially with those comic books, that the Iwi were telling that group of monarch people, whatever, when they're talking about Kong's past and how he came into the world and stuff. Like, it would make a lot more sense that when those gorillas left the Hollow Earth and came to Skull Island, those Iwi came with them, and those were the ones that were protecting him, because you had those other gorillas that were following Scar King that wanted to kill all humans, apparently. Like, and maybe Skull Island itself came from the Hollow Earth. I don't know.
I always got the impression, ever since the the first Skull Island movies, that Skull Island's always been an extension of Hollow Earth.
Yeah. That's what I thought as well.
Forgot, but it's like the only part of the surface world that's like an extension of Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
And which is why King Kong's able to thrive in Hollow Earth, because he's from Skull Island, and Skull Island's that extension. That's always the impression I got, and that was since since Skull Island. It's not said per se, but that's just the impression I got.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions, and it makes me wonder if because I know it's not just Adam Wingard and the people writing the scripts and stuff, but like there's a whole lore team at Legendary that's making the background stories for all their movies and stuff like that. It just makes me wonder, have they really thought that far into the future about this, or are they literally pulling this crap out of their ass with everything?
I think they're pulling it out of their ass, but not to their fault. I think they're at the mercy of Toho. Like I said, we didn't know we were gonna get this movie, and Toho gave them the green light. So, I don't think they have an MCU established plan. I think they're going as they're gonna go as they go. As far as
I think what they do is they try and set stuff up in each movie, and if they're able to go to the next movie, they're able to follow through on the stuff from the previous movie. But they keep doing that. Okay, we have ideas. Let's plant the seeds in this movie. Okay, we can do the next movie. Okay, let's let those seeds grow in this movie, and so on and so forth.
So to answer Tevia's question, Skull Island didn't sink. Skull Island's actually still technically there. That storm
is it still under like a protective dome or whatever that?
No, so in versus Kong, he was in that protective dome, but Skull Island got swallowed by the storm that was surrounding it.
Yeah, that's what wiped out the Iwi people and stuff. But the whole concept of Skull Island being surrounded by that storm makes a lot of sense because it was already surrounded by a storm. No, because Ghidorah was on the scene. And Ghidorah, in the movie, in GBK, was literally creating storms around himself, and that's where that storm for Skull Island could have come from.
Okay.
See, I thought because in every single King Kong movie, Skull Island was always surrounded by a storm.
Yeah, but we're talking about Monsterverse Skull Island.
Yeah, but even in Skull Island, it was when they got there, remember they flew through the storm.
Right, but remember, Godzilla, King of the Monsters that came after that established that Ghidorah was in Antarctica and he had been on the surface and they had their battle, so that's something that he could have caused a while back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because I remember in the book of King of the Monsters, they said that the scene where Ghidorah does the Alpha Cry by the church.
That Kong,
King Kong heard the cry and just didn't care. All the other monsters on Earth followed Ghidorah, but King Kong heard it and he didn't give a fuck.
So if you watch the Apple show, that sequence where King Kong hears the cry is in the Apple show, and you actually see, yeah, it's in there. Except you don't hear Ghidorah's roar per se. I think they're gonna add that in the second season, but that whole sequence that was in the book is at the very end of the Apple series.
Gotcha. Okay. Like I never bothered with it, so.
One thing
it's really good. I'm 3 episodes in, and the Kurt Russell is amazing in the show.
Yeah, he
Kurt
did a really.
And his son.
Yeah,
Kurt and his son made that show really good.
Yeah, they're
really
fantastic.
And one thing I have to say that might show my lack of knowledge of Godzilla and everything is the old Matthew Broderick movie that had the female Godzilla. If they would have kept going with that female Godzilla and have Toho have the male Godzilla and somehow cross over to have them mate, would have been fucking amazing, I think.
No. I hate Monsters Made, but we did get Final Wars. Final Wars, the Godzilla killed that version.
To be fair, it's not a female Godzilla in that movie.
It's just a male that produces asexually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zilla. We're talking about Zilla. But yeah, no. I like the monster, the design and the monster of Zilla. I just agree that you should never call it Godzilla because
I agree.
There's nothing godly about
that's
that
how
monster.
I feel about it too. I don't think it's. If you want the
And the
honest
movie-
truth, I like that movie more than 2014.
That movie was good. It just should not have been called Godzilla.
No, I agree. It's turn your brain off fun. I don't really particularly care for it, but I thought it was better in 2014. I really didn't like it.
I disagree.
Which I guess this would be a good way to end it. So obviously I said that we're going to give our final ratings and promote whatever we want to promote, but besides giving your final rating, I say all 4 of us should rank the Monsterverse movies. And
okay,
if you want,
yes, I do
if
want to
you
do
want
that.
to include the show, I haven't seen it. You can include the show as well. So
No, I'll just do the movie.
okay, so we're just going to include the 5.
Just the
all
5
5
movies.
Okay.
All right, so whoever wants to go first, Adam or Will, and you guys promote whatever promo, give your final rating, and then rank the movies. So whoever wants to go first.
Go for it.
All right. In terms of ranking the Monsterverse, I think I will go number 1, King of the Monsters. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. You can say whether or not as a whole the movie is good. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. Second, I think I will go GVK. That movie was just entertaining. That was a lot of fun. And it's exactly what it needed to be at the time. Just a lot of fun. Third, I will go Kong Skull Island. I still pop that in every once in a while because it's just a fun movie. The cast is fantastic. Kong and the skull colors are really cool. After that, I will go The New Empire. Again, fun. I will go see it again. It's worth seeing more than once to me personally. And the very end, I'll put 2014. At the time of release, I really loved it. Subsequent rewatches, like, okay, this is good, this is okay, but the other ones, that's how I like it. Basically, it's King of the Monsters at the top, 2014 at the bottom for me personally.
And how would you rate your final rating, your final overall thoughts of New Empire?
For Godzilla, Kong, The New Empire, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I had a lot of fun with this movie. The monster sequences were a lot of fun. I enjoyed the designs of Shimo and Godzilla Evolved. Scar King was an interesting villain. The human characters were fine. I like that we got some of the returning cast members from Godzilla vs. Kong. There are some story problems with it. There are some other gripes I have with the movie, but it doesn't detract from me enjoying the film and wanting to see it again on the big screen. So 3.5 out of 5 for The New Empire.
Okay. And go ahead and promote whatever you want to promote.
And again, I am WilldBand here on YouTube. I just wrapped up Netflix's Avatar reactions on my channel. I'm going back to my regular shows of Batman the Animated Series, Skull Island the Animated Series, and my adventures with Superman on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. And I will soon be starting a new Friday reaction series with a very special guest that has appeared on my channel before. And podcast is out on all platforms for podcast streaming sites except Apple Music. We have 2 seasons worth of episodes. Petty Cash Podcast. We have a lot of fun over there. We will hopefully return to making episodes soon.
All right, Adam, Scrap Productions, Godzilla, Apex. Go ahead, rank the Monsterverse movies. Give your rating of New Empire and your final thoughts, and promote whatever you want to promote.
So for the New Empire, I'll give it, if we're going out of 5, I'm going to actually give it a 4 out of 5 because they did a lot of things right with this movie, even though there are a bunch of gripes that I have. My biggest thing was monsters over humans for this movie. They did such a fantastic job doing that, and everything that happened in the monster sequences, even no matter how goofy they were, just the fact that there was so much more of that than there was the human aspect of stuff. It's the best thing, best thing they could have done for the Monsterverse, in my opinion. And as far as my list, my favorite or my opinion what the best ones are, I gotta put Kong Skull Island at number 1.
Fair.
I've got to put King of the Monsters at number 2 just because of the nostalgia factor for the most part.
Yeah.
Then GXK, then GVK, and then 2014.
Okay. And promote whatever I want to promote, my friend.
You can check out my YouTube channel, Godzilla Apex. Animations, musics, audiobooks, stuff like that, all on there. And then if you want to support me, go to patreon.com/Godzilla Apex or Gochi Apex. I can't remember. I haven't been to my own Patreon in so long. Anyway, check me out there. And, go ahead and throw out on Twitter or X or Facebook or wherever, tell them to hire me for the next soundtrack for the next Monsterverse movie.
All right, Joe, give your rating, give your ranking, and we'll promote our shows.
All right, like I said, Godzilla X Kong, a little over the top, but like I said, I like action and flash, so I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. And as far as my rankings go, I have to go King of the Monsters, Skull Island, Godzilla 2014, GXK, and then GVK.
Okay, all right, this is...
I have Finn McKenty, the punk rock MBA.
Yep, hang on, my thing's frozen here. Yeah, hold on, my entire thing just froze here. Shoot. So Joe, you're actually on camera right now, and I can't like un. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. There we go. Hold on, let's try this again. Wow. I mean, now it's frozen on all four of us, but now let's try this again. Boom, there we go. Yes. So Joe, Joe just mentioned Finn McKenty will be coming on this coming Wednesday. We're going to be talking music, we're going to be talking video games, we're going to be talking movies, mainly music, but again, Punk Rock NBA, 500,000 subscribers. Very excited to have him on. And then Joe, tentatively Thursday at 11:59 p.m.
Yes, Thursday, midnight stream, finale. I'm pretty sure we'll get through it this time. God of War 2.
Yes, we're right there. And then Joe, Saturday on twitch.tv/NerdCage Live.
And Saturday will be the Sonic and Knuckles.
Yep. And then Wednesday, April 10th, the Queen of Violence returns.
Yes, Heather Hardy to promote her upcoming bare knuckle entry fight.
Yeah, which will be happening on May 11th. And then Joe, Monday, April 22nd, 1994.
Yes. Is 1994 the best year in retro gaming? We're going to answer that question live on stream.
And then Saturday, MK the 4th be with you on May 4th.
Yes, May 4th, we'll be doing a watch party of Mortal Kombat Legacy Seasons 1 and 2.
All right, excellent. Okay, so, my final thoughts. Okay. This movie is a 3 out of 10 from me, okay?
Okay.
Did not like this movie. To me, this movie, Adam Wingard feels like he's one of those dudes who likes to put on a Godzilla movie and just fast forward through all the human stuff and just watch some monster fights. That's exactly what I got from this movie. And again, if you like that, that's fine. If you have a bunch of crazy kids, you're a babysitter or a parent, you got all these crazy kids and you want to shut them up, you put this movie on. I feel like this movie was just too silly. And I can't get myself to like this in the direction that they're going in. But there were some stuff here and there that I liked. So yeah, 3 out of 10. Yeah. And as far as ranking all the Monsterverse films, at number 1, and my favorite to this day, and it's the best one they've ever done, I don't think they'll ever surpass it, is Kong Skull Island's my number 1. My number 2, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I know the movie has its flaws, but at least they established Ghidorah as like the ultimate bad guy and the ultimate threat to the world and to Godzilla. And there are enough throwbacks in there, so, you know, the reason why I like it is because it's a lot of nice throwbacks to it. At number 3, and again, I don't like this movie, but the more these crazy Monsterverse movies go on, the more I appreciate this movie, and that's Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla movie, my number 3. My number 4, by default, is going to be GVK, and then number 5, GXK. I haven't liked the direction they've gone in, but, you know, as a Kaiju fan, I gotta check it out. I mean, so, that being said, GXK is the worst Godzilla movie ever made to this day across all the entire Godzilla universe, across Toho, across the animation, across every single media. This is the worst Godzilla movie ever made, in my opinion.
We just went disagree on that.
Okay, Godzilla -1 was a new high for the franchise, even winning an Oscar. This movie is a new low. I mean, I just went up on a roller coaster. My Kaiju fandom just went up on a roller coaster, like, yay! Oh no, here it comes! Oh! That's how this Kaiju fandom has been for me. Okay, so, real quick, if you haven't already, go to our T-Post, link in the description, get yourself a NerdCage Live t-shirt, and for you Kaiju fans, we have this awesome Monsterverse shirt. So be sure to we've sold a bunch of these, by the way, so we appreciate that. So get yourself a NerdCage Live t-shirt. Any size, any color, whether you're skinny, booty club, or fat fuck, big or small, we love them all. We also have pillows, hoodies, magnets, tote bags, and Joe, show me Mug, hold it in front of your face. Boom.
Yes.
Oh.
Our merch is off the chain, baby. So again, get yourself a NerdCage Live t-shirt. You're going to love the way you look. I guarantee you. So, everybody, thank you so much. Oh, yeah, Joe, go ahead and plug in social media.
All right, if you want to get us on Twitter or Instagram, both handles are at nerd_cage. Our link to our Discord is in the description. Become a member there as well. And our Facebook discussion group, that is NerdCage Nation. We love everything you guys put up there. No spoilers, no politics, and for God's sakes, keep it civil.
That's right. Well, listen, please, oh please, subscribe to these guys that you see on screen. Not only that they are fantastic content makers, they're awesome friends as well, and I'm lucky to have them again. The music that you hear right now was composed and produced by Adam, so thank you for that, Adam. And of course, we're going to be going to you, our go-to guy, when we need composition. So if you need music, reach out to this guy. I'm telling you, he does great stuff. And again, the links to these guys on social media and their platforms are all in the description of this video, and if you're listening, this podcast as well. Again, we'll see you guys on Wednesday for the Finn McKenty interview. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm nervous as hell, but I promise you it's gonna be a wonderful conversation. You won't want to miss it. This is like our NerdCage shining moment right here. I'm like really chomping at the bit, but again, I'm a nervous wreck, but it's gonna be awesome. But until then, everybody, please, oh please, we ask you to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and spread this shit like Godzilla's radiation. So to USA, from yours truly, Syracuse, New York, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, all of our friends and fans around the world at NerdCage Live, Godzilla, Apex, and WilldBand. As always, enjoy life. Stay safe, eat your vegetables, do your push-ups, go to the gym, all that good stuff. Happy Easter. Good night. God bless. And remember, have the best day of your life.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
And of course, stick around for awesome Twitch promo, guys, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Good night.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe.
Okay.
Shoot it!
All right.
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe.
It's all about you.
Kaboom! Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run.
But she's so beautiful!
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running.
Run faster. Oh no, Joe, the galaxy's doomed because of you.
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live. Ooh, trying to get out of the NerdCage, are ya? Well, before you go, hit that subscribe button. And if you're really intrigued, ring that bell. Thank you for dropping by. Until next time, tell everyone you know